Quasars, pulsars and magnetars. You might have heard of them, but what are they exactly? Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we will shed some light about these strange objects and hope to understand them better in our beautiful universe. Let's get started. What are quasars? Quasar stands for quasi-stellar radio source. Originally, quasars got that name because they appeared star-like when astronomers first began to notice them in the late 1950s and early 60s. But quasars aren't stars. Now they are known as bright centers of galaxies that were once young, located at vast distances from us. Their numbers, though, increase as we look further towards the edge of the visible universe. So how can they be so far away and yet still visible? Well, quasars are extremely bright, up to 1,000 times brighter than our Milky Way galaxy. They are highly active, emitting astonishing amounts of radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Right now, we're seeing these objects as they were when our universe was young because of their enormous distance from us. The oldest quasar, currently, is J0313-1806. Its distance has been measured as 13.03 billion light-years, and therefore we see it as it was just 670 million years after the Big Bang. Astronomers now believe that quasars are the extremely luminous centers of galaxies in their infancy. After decades of intense study, we have another term for these objects. A quasar is a type of active galactic nucleus, or AGN. There are actually many different types of AGNs, each with a story of their own. The intense radiation released by an AGN is thought to be powered by a supermassive black hole at its center. The radiation is emitted when material in the accretion disk surrounding the black hole is superheated to millions of degrees. This is caused by the intense friction generated by the particles of dust, gas and other matter in the disk colliding countless times with each other. The inward spiral of matter, in the accretion disk of a supermassive black hole at the center of a quasar, is the result of particles colliding and bouncing against one another and losing velocity. That material came from the massive clouds of gas, primarily molecular hydrogen, which was available in massive amounts in the universe early after the Big Bang. As materials in the accretion disk of a quasar heats up, radio waves, X-rays, ultraviolet, and visible light are emitted. The quasar brightens to the point where it can outshine entire galaxies. But keep in mind that quasars are quite distant. We can only see the active nucleus, or core, of the galaxy in which they exist since they're so far away. Except for the glowing central part, we see little of the galaxy. It's like viewing a faraway vehicle headlight at night. You have no clue what kind of vehicle you're looking at because everything else is dark except the headlight. There are, on the other hand, galaxies that aren't classified as quasars but have bright active centers from which we can observe almost all of the galaxy. A Seyfert galaxy is a type of AGN named for the late astronomer Carl Keenan Seyfert, who was the first to discover them. Seyfert galaxies make up about 10% of all galaxies in the universe. They aren't classified as quasars because they are much younger and have well-defined structures, as opposed to the undefined and shapeless young galaxies that are thought to have hosted quasars a few hundred million years after the Big Bang. Imagine the energy that is required to illuminate an item sufficiently to make it visible in radio waves, from the farthest reaches of the space. It is similar to a mariner seeing a distant lighthouse across an entire ocean. Quasars can emit 1,000 times the energy of 200 billion or more stars in our Milky Way when they collide. The brightness of a typical quasar is 27 trillion times that of our Sun. If you replaced the Sun in the sky with a quasar, its immense brightness would instantaneously blind you if you looked at it directly. Most, if not all, massive galaxies, according to astronomers, passed through a quasar phase shortly after their formation. If that's the case, they dimmed in luminosity when the accretion disk surrounding their supermassive black holes ran out of matter to feed. Galaxies went quiet after this period, their central black holes deprived of material to feed on. However, as passing material strays into the black hole at the heart of our galaxy, it has been detected to flare up briefly, producing radio waves and X-rays. It's possible that entire stars might be ripped apart and destroyed when they pass through the event horizon, or the point of no return of a black hole. However, it should be noted that our understanding of galaxy evolution, from a young quasar to a dormant middle-aged galaxy, is still far from complete. But exceptions are common in galaxies, and we can look no further than our own Milky Way for such an example. We now know that near the core of our galaxy 3.5 million years ago, a massive explosion known as a Seyfert flare occurred. It was centered on Sagittarius A star, the Milky Way's supermassive black hole, and produced two giant lobes of superheated plasma stretching 25,000 light-years from the galactic poles north and south. These huge lobes are called Fermi bubbles and are visible today at gamma and X-ray wavelengths, which are very high-frequency electromagnetic emissions. As it is, astronomers are still learning about the specifics of galaxy evolution. Pulsars. A pulsar is a small, spinning star, a giant ball of neutrons, left behind after a normal star has died in a fiery explosion. At their north and south magnetic poles, neutron stars release high-energy beams, which are frequently comprised of material from a partner star. When these beams are targeted towards Earth, they appear to pulse as the neutron star rotates. As a result, the name pulsar was born. The star, which has a diameter of only 30 kilometers or 18.6 miles, spins hundreds of times every second while emitting a stream of radio waves, and sometimes other radiation, such as X-rays. We detect a pulse when the beam is focused in our direction and into our telescopes. Pulsars were discovered 50 years ago this year. Over that time, we've discovered over 2,600 pulsars, mainly in the Milky Way. Pulsars have helped us in some ways, like searching for some low-frequency gravitational waves, identify the structure of our galaxy, and test Einstein's general theory of relativity. Why look for pulsars? We'd like to know what pulsars are, how they work, and where they fit into the galaxy of stars. Pulsars that are very fast, super slow, or exceedingly large help to narrow down the range of possible ideas for how they work, revealing more about the structure of matter at ultra-high densities. We'll need to find a lot of pulsars to find these exceptional examples. Pulsars frequently circle companion stars in binary systems, and the characteristics of these companions can help us understand how pulsars were created. Although we've made significant progress in understanding the what and how of pulsars, there are still some outstanding puzzles. Pulsars are not only studied, but they are also used as a clock. Pulsar timing, for example, is being investigated as a method of detecting the background ripple of low-frequency gravity waves across the cosmos. By observing how pulsar signals change as they move through denser regions of space, scientists have been able to determine the structure of our galaxy. Pulsars are also one of the best cosmic assets we have for putting Einstein's general theory of relativity to the test. So, not all neutron stars are pulsars. Everything is dependent on the direction in which its energy beams are pointing. Magnetars. Imagine a powerful magnet capable of wiping every credit card on the planet from a distance of halfway to the moon. That's how powerful a magnetar's magnetic field is. A magnetar is a rare type of neutron star with an extremely high magnetic field as its defining feature. The field is 1 trillion times stronger than the Earth's and 1,000 times greater than a regular neutron star. Magnetars are the most magnetic stars in the cosmos. You would be dead very quickly if you got closer to a magnetar at approximately 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers. Its magnetic field would obliterate your body, ripping electrons from your atoms and transforming you into a cloud of monatomic ions, or single atoms devoid of electrons. Magnetars also emit massive amounts of energy in the form of flares, X-rays, and gamma-ray bursts, in addition to their ultra-strong magnetic fields. As a result, they are linked to extreme events in the universe, making them together with black holes, one of the most strangest phenomena in the universe. An extreme example was in 2004, when the Earth's magnetic field was compressed by a flare on the surface of a magnetar from a distance of 50,000 light-years. A neutron star is roughly 15 miles or 24 kilometers across but may contain 1.5 times the mass of our Sun. It's amazing that such a small object can generate enough energy to affect others at such a great distance. What gives a magnetar its magnetism? Astrophysicists are still unsure how a magnetar creates its massive magnetic field. However, it is most likely related to a neutron star's extraordinary density and strange interior. On Earth, one sugar cube-sized piece of neutron star material would weigh 1 billion tons, about equal to an average mountain. The inside of a neutron star is assumed to be made up of neutrons, quarks, and other exotic states of matter such as Bose-Einstein condensates becoming a superconducting fluid. This could be the source of a magnetar's magnetic field. As a result, when the star rotates, it acts like a massive dynamo, producing a massive magnetic field. Alternatively, the field could have originated in its parent star, before becoming a neutron star, which had an extraordinarily powerful magnetic field. Astronomers launched the Neutron Star Interior Composition Explorer, or NISA, to the International Space Station in 2017 in an attempt to unravel this mystery. Its main purpose is to figure out what goes on inside neutron stars. So far, NISA has allowed astronomers to make more precise measurements of their size and density properties. We can also learn more about neutron stars by studying the gravitational waves they produce when two of them crash, as seen in the famous gravitational wave event GW170817. Magnetars are also cosmic lighthouses. A few magnetars are also pulsars, celestial lighthouses with tremendous radio beams that sweep the sky and, in rare cases, beams of visible light too, which occurs in the Crab Nebula. Astronomers were able to determine a precise distance to a magnetar for the first time after discovering a magnetar that is also a pulsar. The first magnetar detection was a mystery. The first event originating from a magnetar was observed in 1979, though astronomers did not recognize the activity as belonging to a distinct class of objects at the time. It happened when two Russian spacecraft detected a massive burst of gamma radiation in their detectors. In a fraction of a millisecond, readings on both probes surged from 100 counts per second to almost 200,000 counts per second. This burst has 100 times the energy of any previous extrasolar gamma ray burst discovered. As the wave of gamma radiation moved through the solar system, it was detected by 5 satellites and 2 observatories. The position of the explosion corresponds to the location of a known supernova in the Large Magellanic Cloud, according to astronomers. The source of this massive wave of gamma radiation is still repeating, making it the first soft gamma repeater ever discovered. Back in 1979, no one knew what caused the incident. Astronomers didn't discover a neutron star that behaved like a pulsar and released magnetically powered bursts until 2008. Magnetars are a rare sort of neutron star, as this occurrence proved. There are just 31 confirmed magnetars out of about 3,000 known neutron stars, as of March 2020. This is a sign of how rare they are. Are magnetars responsible for fast radio bursts? Fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are unexplained millisecond-long flashes of radio waves that carry as much energy as our Sun produces in a year. Magnetars have emerged as leading suspects for creating FRBs. Astronomers previously assumed that all FRBs were extragalactic, but in April 2020, they discovered one emanating from within our own Milky Way galaxy. The source came from SGR 1935+2154, a known magnetar. NASA announced in May 2021 that the Hubble Space Telescope had discovered 4 FRBs in distant galaxies' spiral arms. Magnetars are assumed to be the source of these. This was a significant step forward, as pinpointing the specific location of FRBs had previously been challenging, owing to their short lifespan of 1/1000 of a second. Furthermore, most FRBs do not repeat, making it difficult to determine their location in the sky and distance. How and why a magnetar might generate an FRB is not yet known. Magnetars are weird objects, creating virtually unimaginable amounts of energy that may be detected throughout the cosmos. What causes their massive magnetic fields and massive bursts of energy over the electromagnetic spectrum is unknown, although it is a hot topic of investigation. The universe appears to have a lot more to show us in terms of the unexpected and odd. However, we do know that magnetars are a special kind of neutron star, harboring intensely strong magnetic fields. Thanks for watching. And if you like to discover more about our beautiful universe, subscribe and like to this channel as we venture more deeper into our strange universe.